Hi, so you've come to the Zodiac Love Tarot today to learn more about Libra personality or Libra characteristics or Libra traits. And you've come to the right place because I am a sixth stellium Libra, meaning that I had a whole bunch of planets in the sign of Libra when I was born. So I can tell you that there is a lot of duality to our sign, which you may not have actually expected, and that duality can actually translate into some really weird properties, and it may explain a lot for you, especially if you're trying to date a Libra, or if you're a Libra and some of the life lessons that I have learned over time haven't hit you yet. So let's just get started. I have 10 secrets about Libra's personality traits. Number one is that Libras are said to be very naive and gullible. Well, I have to tell you that is completely wrong. We may seem naive because we're very trusting people, but at the same time, we're always analyzing, we're always making sure that we are intuitive and that we're looking at the story or a person or something from all sides. It may take us a moment to figure out that we're in a situation where we need to use extreme caution, but for the most part, Libras are not gullible and they are not naive. Okay, so we basically sometimes really hide the sharpness of our mind, and the reason why we do that is because it's like protection. It's protection from other people realizing that you might be the smartest person in the room. Okay, and that's not necessarily always the case. I mean, there's a lot of smart people, but in terms of just like when you think of us as being like kind of on the silly side or again naive and gullible, it's not true. We definitely are very sharp-minded and we hide that a lot of times. It's like I said, our protection. All right, and number two, we probably balk at orders. Like, we don't really like being told what to do. So even though we're very sensitive, we can be very sweet, we love beauty, and we love for everyone to get along and stuff, we really have our own compass. And when someone tells us how to do something or what to do, we basically get a little bit upset about it because we don't like orders. We don't like being told what to do. So at the same time, we could be inconsistent. You may see us as being like inconsistent, or you may see us as being fickle or flighty in a sense, or flaky. But what is really happening is that we've, taken your order to heart, and we look at it from all sides and we say, I don't really think that I want to do this. I may have initially said that I did, but now that I think about it a little harder, I don't really want to do that. So, or we may think that our own personal judgment is just so much more interesting. I don't want to say interesting, but right in a way, as opposed to someone else's judgment call, because we think that we've looked at everything from different angles. So we sort of just balk at taking orders because we're like, no, I know what I'm supposed to do. You don't have to tell me. Okay, so now for number three, it can actually take a Libra a lifetime to learn balance, and it's something that we are constantly trying to achieve. So whereas you think, oh, Libra is like the most balanced person, and when you want advice from someone to talk about balance, we would go to a Libra and say, well, how do you do it? How do you balance life? How do you balance work? How do you balance, your love life? How do you balance fun? How do you do these things? But actually, our we're not always balanced. So that's what causes that duality that I was talking about, where sometimes, instead of us being calm and collected and charming and sweet all the time, you may find us to be stubborn or depressed or confused, especially if we're having a hard time deciding about something. And we also can be argumentative, and we can quarrel with people just because, like, we're not at the stage where we've made a decision yet, and so we're off balance. And this can last for weeks and sometimes even months. And sometimes, we can be off balance for a long time until something like Saturn or some kind of renewal happens to us, to where we finally learn our lesson, and then we become balanced on some topic, like we become balanced at work, or we become balanced in our relationship. So you can see us go toggling back and forth, and when we're in that stage where we're off balance, we can have a lot of shifting towards the negative traits of being a Libra. So now that, you know, if you see a Libra doing that, you can actually, you know, talk to them, because they're very good communicators and they do want input on how to maybe get back to balance. And also it could be something you do together with your Libra. It's just making sure that you both feel a good balance. All right. And so number 4 is that Libras do not like to be rushed. Okay. And it may seem like we're just being indecisive and being slow, but really what it is that, again, we're looking at both sides of a decision that we have to make, and we don't want to make the wrong one. And also just being able to take our time, because this can translate into a lot of things. We like to take time to get ready before we go out on a date. We like to take time at work to look at things in a more clear view, and that's how we clarify things. That's how we, you know, as a tarot reader, I also do the cards, and that's how we use our air. That's how we use our swords, is by cutting through things and clarifying things. But it takes us a while because we have to balance out everything. So you may think that we're slow or that we're lazy or something like that, but the truth is that we're just really trying to get to the point where we need to be to make a decision. And then once that decision is made, then bam, we rush towards it. We know how to, you know, what we're doing. And, you know, also we can be very restless in that situation too, where once we do make a decision, we want to go at it full force. And then, you know, we might also start to rush other people, which is kind of like weird, because we don't like to be rushed, but we'll definitely, you know, rush other people. So now number 5 is that, let me see. We can be very friendly, but we're also very flirtatious. So meaning that it's said, and this, I don't know, you know, whether you believe it's true or not, that Libras have, you know, this friendly and flirtatious exterior, and that kind of walks hand in hand with our physical aesthetics. And so it's said that we have like symmetrical faces, or that we have these good smiles, and that a smile from a Libra can change, you know, the way you feel about them. Even if you're upset, it's hard to stay upset with a Libra, because we just smile and then everything, you know. But we don't do that necessarily to trick anyone or to be manipulative. And a lot of people think that Libras are manipulative, and that they're fake, and that they're phony. And again, with the flaky stuff, or that everything that we do is like, just, it has some ulterior motive, because we, you know, but we don't really use charm that way, and people think that we do, but the charm is something that was gifted to Libras when we were born. Okay, so we were gifted, like everybody in the different zodiac signs has gifts, and the gifts that Libras were gifted was to charm people. And it's not that we fake it. It's not that we give you a compliment because we want something back. We give you a compliment because we see the beauty in you. And like right now, that makes me want to cry, because I see the beauty in people, and that's why I compliment them. Sometimes it's aesthetics, like I'll just be like, you're very pretty, or it could just be their soul, their personality, their attitude, something is very beautiful. So you pick out on it, or you see it and you compliment, but it doesn't mean that you're trying to manipulate or get anything, because Libras really aren't out to try to get something from you. Okay, so we can be pleasant and have these symmetrical looks, but in this charming way, in this flirtatious way. Another thing about the flirting is that, again, is like a sort of subconscious thing. And we're not really always flirting, and sometimes it may seem like we're flirting, and that's not what's really going on. What's really going on is we're seeing your beauty. We're seeing the value that you have in your just being in your presence of your humanity. We see that, and so when we see that, we basically, we smile a lot. We may touch so that you have like human touch or whatever, or we may do something out of our way for you, because basically we want to bring love into the world. So if you see a Libra moving a chair out for you, or opening a door for you, or complimenting you on something, it may seem like a flirt, but it's not necessarily a flirt. So we try not to get in trouble with doing that with people, because really we're just being very kind. We're bringing love into the world, okay? So if you get the wrong idea from, it's easy to get the wrong idea from a Libra, okay? Let's just leave it at that. But we have the best intentions, okay? And now for the sixth thing is that Libras are very loyal. Okay, they want to be in a long-term relationship. They want the meeting of minds. They want a twin love. They want almost like this porpoise, like unity, where you see whales and like dolphins, and they stay together, like they want that soulmate attraction. But the problem is that we may also go into relationships with high hopes, thinking that this will be the one. Okay, so it's not that we just desert our lovers because that's been said. It's just that once we're in it, it takes us a long time to basically decide, is this the person for us? And a lot of times that's a detrimental more towards us than it is to the person that we're seeing, because in a Libra's life, we can waste a lot of time, like a monumental amount of our life can go to these serial long-term relationships that we just didn't know weren't going to work out for us. But we give it the benefit of the doubt, we weigh it out, and then finally, the cards just weren't there, and so we leave. And sometimes that can break hearts. But when we do find the right person, the person who really clicks with us and gives us the things that we want and need and desire, then we usually stay loyal for as long as, that's what we were looking for. So we'll stay in it until the day we die, because that's the way we want to be. And when it comes to having like maybe a extramarital affair or some cheating or stuff, Libra tend to not do that because we know that what is going to happen is it's going to ruin the type of romance that we're experiencing with this person that we love so much, and we know that anything that affects that love is not going to be good for us, so we just don't do it, okay? So that's why Libras are very loyal. They're also loyal to their friends. They're very supportive. They're, very good listeners to their friends, because again, we make lifelong friends just like we make lifelong lovers, and we don't just throw a relationship away because he said or she said or he did this or they did that or whatever, because we just have this ability to, stay focused on the true human nature of people, and we bring this unconditional love, into the universe. All right. And another thing with being loyal is that Libras tend to not gossip, because we have this really weird thing about us where our karma is like a revolving door. Like if a Libra says something bad about a person, or talks about, calls them ugly or something, or just goes behind their back and says something that was not entirely true or something, the next time it could almost happen immediately. Something bad will happen to the Libra, and it's just that karmic balance. And so as a sixth stellium Libra, I never speak ill of anyone, because I know that something's going to happen. I'll stomp my toe, or or lose a job, or just something not good will materialize. So I don't like to manifest that kind of stuff in my life. So I don't gossip about people unless it's to say good things about them and to appreciate, again, their beauty. Okay, so now, number 7, which I'm sure you're going to believe about right now, is that Libras are hyper talkative. Okay, so if you could tell, I've already been very hyper talkative. It's already been 15 minutes into the video. Okay, but the thing is that's, you know, again, we are the major communicators. We are air signs, so we love to communicate. But that makes us very persuasive. It makes us very calculated. It makes us very observant. It makes us good listeners. It makes us good friends. And it also helps us expose the things that we need to work on ourselves, and we reach out to people so that we could get help. And that keeps our karmic spirit, you know, very clean. And so we talk just about, you know, we talk about things that bring goodwill into the world, okay? And so, but to give back, we're also very good listeners. So if a Libra is just going on and on and on and on and on, and you're ready to have your turn, Libras are try to be very fair. So just say, hey, you know, thank you for telling me that, and give your advice or whatever you're going to do, and say, but it's my turn to talk. And Libra will be like, oh no, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to monopolize the whole conversation, but we tend to sometimes do that. And that makes us, again, as Libras, seem very self-important, or like we're more concerned with our own problems or our own issues, and like we're just like emotional vampires. But that's really not what we are. We just kind of go off, you know, in our own little talkative world, not realizing exactly what we're doing, because we're just expecting the other person to be very understanding of what we're putting out there. But a lot of times other people are like, oh my God, this person just talks so much about herself, she needs to shut up, you know. And we don't realize it. So the best friends that we keep are the ones who understand us and who know that if we pick up the phone, they're going to be like, oh gosh, there's a Libra calling, they're going to be on the phone, you know. And if you just say something like, it's going to be, can you call me later when I have more time, the Libra will be like, oh yeah, sure, no problem, you know. So that's how we are. Okay, so number 8. Okay, we try to please everyone, all right, because we're just like karmic buffers, okay? So if one person's fighting with another person, we suddenly want to fix it. Like, we have to fix it. Like, it makes us just unbalanced and uneven if we can't fix it. So if someone's giving you like a look, like our emotional look or something, we're right on it. We're like, what's going on with you? What's happening with you? Are you okay? What's going on? And this is very difficult for Libras, because when we're at work, if someone has a bad attitude, we're suddenly like feeling that energy and we get a bad attitude, and then we try to help that person out of that situation if we have time or if we have the strength to do it. But being a people pleaser is very difficult. We also get ourselves into situations where we're way over our heads, because we may promise things to help another person because we want to please them, and then suddenly we flake out, or you think we're flaking out, but really what it is we can't necessarily get around to everyone who we promise stuff to, because we end up being so sympathetic and empathetic to a situation that we want to be there and we want to help everyone. So, you know, we spread ourselves kind of thin. It doesn't mean that, you know, suddenly they cared about you 1 minute and then the next minute they didn't. What it means is that, you know, we just spread ourselves too thin. But if you were to say to someone, hey, you promise, if you were to say to Libra, hey, you promise this, then we would move that priority back up to the #1 position, because that's just how we work. But we always have these other positions of people that we're trying to please. And it's not, again, this is not towards our benefit. It's not to get something back from other people. It's really just who we are. It's how we were built. It's what we do. And so again, with thinking that a Libra is manipulative. It's just not the case. All right, so number 9, Libras are known to ghost people. And why do Libras ghost people? Okay, this goes back to what I was saying before. It goes back to when we see a situation, like for instance, if we're not finding our twin love, sometimes a Libra can come to that conclusion earlier rather than later. And when that happens, a Libra may disappear on you. And they don't want confrontation. They don't want to explain. And it's not really, the best thing for Libras to ghost people. But sometimes we feel like we have to, because we don't want to continue on pretending like we care about somebody. And but then, in all fairness, what we will do is we'll eventually say, okay, I'm sorry it didn't work out, but I do need to move on, and I don't think that this is the best relationship for me. So, but Libras will try and eventually tie things up, but you may notice that they just do ghost you. Now, another reason Libras ghost people is because Libras do not like haters, okay? Libras think that people who just are jealous of other people, or who always put stumbling blocks in people's ways, or gives people a hard time for generally like no reason, or personally gives us a hard time, that energy is not something that we like, okay? It's too abrasive. So a Libra will be like, no, okay, this person is rude to everybody. This person has a problem with everything that I do, or he does, or she does, and they just refuse to change. They refuse to grow. They refuse, and they're constantly bringing in this negative energy. So a Libra, again, ghost, okay? And it may take a Libra quite a long time to come to that, because for the most part, when we make friends with somebody, we're super loyal to them. But if there's like a series of events where a person shows that they're truly a hater, then eventually you're just going to notice that they completely disappear, like woof. All right. Okay, so another thing about ghosting is closed-minded people. Like, if again, like kind of the haters, you just can't no, like for instance, a political point of view. Like, I never talk politics with anyone, that's just a no-no to me. But when people start, talking about how they can't stand this political party, or stand for this political party, or something like that, Libras tend to be like, yeah, okay, that's a little too close-minded for me, because we believe in basically voting for the different platforms. Like, okay, this is the issue, we're going to vote on this issue. This is the issue, we're going to talk about this issue, and we're going to vote on this issue. That's why a lot of Libras are like libertarians, because there's this, balance between Republican and Democrat. And so we see both sides, and we think, we're just not polarized to like either side. And when a person's completely closed-minded, we just are like, sometimes we're like, yeah, I don't really want to be around this person, because they're so polarized towards this one thing. And that, can just be very off-putting. And another thing about Libras ghosting, and this is the last thing I'll say, is we do that because of selfish people. Some people are just takers. And it's, again, for Libras, it's hard to tell in the beginning. Are they taking? Or are they giving back? So like, I have a friend of mine, and he's just, I couldn't trade him for the world. He's like gold. And basically, he calls it an emotional bank account. Like, if you do a lot of emotional, wonderful things for a person, and then another person doesn't reciprocate or ever put anything in the other emotional bank account, then eventually a Libra will say, this person's very selfish. And I've noticed it can even be over years or something. And maybe you won't get ghosted so much as like completely turned you know, turned away or whatever, but you'll just notice that your emotional bank account from the Libra becomes empty because not that we're trying, like I said again, to get something from you, but when we talk about friendships, we talk about emotional bank account, not like a money or monetary thing. We talk about just like if I call you and invite you to 10 different things and you never show up to any of them, then you've put absolutely no energy into that emotional bank account for any reason. So then that's why we would say, okay, that's just not worth it. Because a Libra will make a lot of plans and hope that you know, come into their lives and show up and do something and have some fun and all that stuff. And then if it just doesn't happen, then eventually you're like, okay. So, and now number 10, and this is a funny one, but a lot of people think that Libras are lazy, okay, that we just, and you know, I don't even know where that comes from because I can tell you that I've never been lazy. It just, honestly, I feel like I wish I could be lazy. Like, I wish I could just go to like a deserted island for like 10 days and like do nothing, like absolutely nothing. Maybe that's, maybe that is like an underlining like dream of mine or something. But for the most part, I don't know where that comes from, but there is this thing where they say Libras are lazy. Now, this could go back to like balking at orders, like maybe when someone tells us like do this or whatever and we're like, yeah, no, I got a better plan, or I got a better thing to do, then maybe think, oh well, this person's just lazy because they're not doing what I want to do. Or the Libra flakes out and they're like, oh, that person's just lazy because they told me that she was or he was going to do something and then they ended up not doing it. But then we're doing stuff, okay? We're always doing stuff. Libras are restless people, and we're constantly, you know, working. It could be working on ourselves, working on our projects. It could be writing. A lot of Libras love, you know, to collect art or to go to shows, things like this. Anything that brings, you know, beauty into our lives. We are just super hard workers as far as I know, I haven't really met any lazy Libras. Now, the only time I can imagine a Libra actually being lazy would be if their idea just tanked. Like, oh, I had this idea, I worked on it really hard, and then suddenly now I'm realizing that it's not fruitful, it's not whatever, and then we may be like, okay, I need to reflect, I need to go back and figure out another plan for myself. And so there may be some downtime there where you're just trying to figure out what the next thing is. So that could, you know, and that may take a month or something. And then so a person would be like, oh, she's just lazy. But it's just like, if you're going to take the time to embark on something new, you might as well look at it from all angles before you just go out there and do it again, because you could have like another, you know, another failed project, and Libras don't like to fail. That's another thing on number 10. Libras do not like to fail. We like to get things right. And then also we push ourselves a lot. And then, but there are times when we push ourselves so hard that we have to go recharge. So if you see a Libra coming home from, you know, work and then sitting down and, you know, binge watching TV or something, you'd be like, oh, this person's lazy. They didn't even clean the house. But really what's happened is they've spent their energy somewhere else, and now it's time to recharge. And I think everybody is sort of like that. But I don't really see Libras like going to work and just being like, hey, you know, I'm just going to sit here and do nothing. Because that's just not our personality. It's not our style. And we're not going to lay in bed for a month like eating ho-hos either. Like, that's just not our style. So I don't really know where that even comes from, to be honest with you. So the secret is out. We're not lazy. If we're not doing something for you, we're doing something for someone else. And then finally, maybe the laziness can come, like I said again, from indecision, just not knowing what the next move is, okay? So that is your 10 secrets of Libra personalities that you may not have known about. So I am so happy that you came to my channel. If you could please like and subscribe and share this with some other people who may be Libras, or some of your Libra girlfriends, or whatever the case may be. So like and share, leave a comment, please leave a comment, because I want to know if you're a Libra, if some of this stuff rang true for you. And then I also want to know if you're not a Libra, but you know a Libra and this stuff rang true. I really want to hear about it, okay? Even if it's just a funny story about it. And then subscribe to the channel, because for Zodiac Love Tarot, what I do is the monthly readings using astrology cards, astrology tarot cards. And then I also do predictions, and I do videos like these. So if you subscribe to the channel, you'll see what's coming up. And if you're a different zodiac sign, you'll see what's coming up for you, and you'll see some of these other videos that are pertaining to you. All right, thank you so much, and thank you for joining my channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.